Hey, what's up, everybody? What's up, everybody? It's your boy Chris. It's your boy Chris. It's another amazing episode of Financipation. This channel is all about making money. It's all about saving money. It's all about building generational wealth. And it's all about financially emancipating yourself from generational poverty. So, everybody, as you all know and everything, on this particular channel, we talk about teaching you essentially how to build generational wealth and how to financially emancipate yourself from poverty and for things that pretty much steal your generational wealth. So, I'm definitely happy to be on. One of the interesting things, everybody, that I noticed when I first started getting on my journey as far as becoming financially literate was that I had to essentially separate myself from some of the friends and associates, and even to some extent family members I had been kicking it with pretty much up to that point in my entire life. It's at the end of the day, people, it's like sometimes kind of if you want to go to the next level, you have to more or less hang around a different type of people. And sometimes I'll give you a good sports analogy because I was an athlete my entire life. A good example of that is this. Let's say God has blessed you with the ability to hoop. You can really play ball. At some point, you got to stop playing with your boys that you grew up with. You got to stop playing with your brothers. You got to stop playing with your cousins. And you got to start playing with guys that are serious about playing high school varsity basketball. You got to basically stop playing at the local YMCA. You got to go to the hood, essentially, and start playing with some dudes who legitimately are serious about playing ball. And then once you get to the college level, you got to essentially stop playing with this, your local intramural squads and things like that, and your local YMCA, your local church leagues, and start playing with guys that are legit Division I superstars and that are going to go to the NBA. And then when you get to the NBA, you want to start focusing essentially on playing with guys that are going to be that are hopefully have aspirations to win the NBA championships. And everybody, it is literally no different in your personal life in regards to who you want to hang out with. So, for instance, when I got on my financial journey, what I started to notice was the more and more I talked about things like index fund investing or ETFs or bonds or books to read or girls I no longer wanted to talk to because they weren't about anything or places I no longer wanted to go to because they were a waste of time and money, my quote unquote friends and associates, at least that's who I thought they were, why you always want to read, Chris? Why you always bringing up books? Why you always studying? Do you think you're better than us? Why is it you don't want to do the same stuff you used to do? Why is it you don't want to go out with us anymore? And it wasn't that I necessarily was trying to let these people go. What I noticed was that I was more or less trying to go here, and these people were still stuck down here. And that's an analogy, everybody, to life, because when you are serious about getting on your financial grind, you are serious about, quote unquote, dating the right types of women. You are serious, quote unquote, about making the right kind of investments. You are serious, quote unquote, about no longer getting high or smoking weed or none of that stuff or getting drunk all the time. You get serious, everybody, about your journey and about your financial path and where you're trying to go. You are going to lose associates and friends. You may lose a couple of family members, but you know what's the good thing about it is, as you start going here, there are going to be a few family members and friends that are going to go with you, but for the most part, you're going to make new circles. You're going to make new sets of friends. So all my fellas, you're going to meet different types of women. You're going to eventually meet girls that are worth marrying and things of that nature. So when I got serious about my financial journey, everybody, there were certain friends, there were certain associates I had to stop hanging out with. There were certain places I just had to stop going because I was serious about what I wanted to do. And there were certain things I had to stop doing. And on some level, it is a little sad, but at the end of the day, people, you only have one life to live. And when you die, you want to basically look back and be able to say, okay, I set up my children and my grandchildren, and hopefully my great-grandchildren, for generational success. The Bible says that a wise man leaves an inheritance to his children's children, and he leaves houses to his children's children. In other words, a book that was written thousands of years ago makes it very clear. As a man, one of your jobs, among others, is to essentially leave some form of wealth to the people that you create and to the legacy that you leave behind, to your wife, to your kids, to your grandkids, to your great-grandkids. And that's one of the reasons why I started Financipation, everybody, because I truly believe that when we get serious about what it is we're supposed to be doing on this planet, the world can truly become yours. So also, if you like what I'm talking about, everybody, my Cash App is $ Chris P485. Once again, $CHRIS P485. So that's something I want to talk about, everybody, just in regards to that. A lot of times when you get serious about what you want to do, you're going to have to hang out in certain different places and go to different areas. Another thing I want to talk about as well, everybody, is right now, just because inflation is at the highest it's been over the last, I believe, 4 to 8 years, and the price of eggs is at the highest it's been over the last 4 to 8 years, as well as gasoline is the highest it's been over the last 4 to 8 years. A lot of people have a lot of, and the stock market right now is pretty much topsy-turvy. A lot of people are having a lot of economic uncertainty in regards to what they should be doing with their finances. And I constantly get the question, Chris, what should I be investing into? Chris, what should I be doing? Chris, I'm scared. Chris, I just lost my job. Chris, I work for the federal government. I'm scared that I'm next in regards to all these Doge cuts. What should I do? There are a lot of different things, everybody, you can do regardless of the administration that's in office or in power more or less build your generational wealth. And something I do want to focus on prior to me getting into the list of things that you can do is that make sure, people, that at all times you are always looking to take advantage of the laws and the legit legal doctrines that are in place for you to make money, regardless whether there is a Democrat or a Republican in office. So what do I mean by that? If you have a quote unquote Democrat in office, that's a perfect time to start a business. If you have a Republican in office, that's a perfect time to start a business. If there is an independent in office, that's a perfect time to figure out a way to legally lower your taxes. So whether there's a Democrat or a Republican in office, whether there is a Democrat or a Republican in office, everybody, you should be making sure that you are doing all the legal avenues essentially to build wealth. And another thing, just like I talked about my first portion of this, as I talked about earlier, I don't care whether who is in office, and I also don't care what political establishment is currently running the White House. Regardless of what you are doing, regardless of who's running that, you should be focusing on expanding your circles, expanding your knowledge, and if you need to, moving into different spaces and different rooms. I've always said this, and a lot of people say this as well. If you walk into a room and you are the smartest person there, you're the hardest working person there, you're the most entrepreneurial person there, you're the most charismatic person there, and you're also the smartest person there, guess what? You're in the wrong room. If you walk into a room and every time you open your mouth and you speak, you're learning from different people. You're picking up different things. You're looking at things from a different religious perspective, a different political perspective, a different taxation perspective, a different investment perspective. Even if the things that you're hearing are wrong and you're being challenged in your beliefs, you are in the right room. Because eventually, at some point, you are going to hear something because you're in a room with people that are smarter than you or more successful than you. You're going to pick up things and learn, and you're going to get better at it, at what you do. And on top of getting better at what you do, these individuals are going to push you to be a better person. So if I give you an example, here in Miami, when I first got on my financial grind roughly a decade ago, the guys that I used to hoop and play ball with and hang out with and party with and go out with and stuff like that on the weekends, the guys I used to like go to the bar with, and we watch football and stuff all on Sundays, and we just kind of go out, kick it, grab some wings, go to happy hours and stuff like that. The guys that I would kick it with, we would go to brunches and everything in Midtown Miami and places like that. As long as we were partying and having fun, it was nothing but love. But the second I started saying, guys, you know what? This is a good book I read. You guys should read it too. Or the second I basically said, you know what, guys, after we get done hooping and playing ball and talking about who's better, LeBron or Kobe or Jordan or LeBron, who's better. When I graduated from those kind of conversations, I was like, hey guys, I just read this book called The Richest Man in Babylon. Y'all should read it. I just read this book called Money Masters the Game by Tony Robbins. You guys should read it. I just read this book called The Dichotomy of Leadership by Jocko Willett. You guys should read it. It's unfortunate this group of guys eventually started saying, Chris, why do you always talk about books? Why do you always talk about finance? Why do you always talk about engineering? Why are you always talking about finance? Why are you always talking about leadership? Do you think you're better than us? Okay, we don't care about that stuff. We just want to hoop and play ball. And it was really sad because what ended up happening was I can still go back to some of the same blocks. I can still go back to some of the same places in Liberty City and Carroll City. I can still go to some of those same places in Hialeah and Calle Ocho and places like that. And I'll see these guys in the exact same situation financially, in the exact same situation socially as far as who they're dating, in the exact same situation professionally as far as what they're doing with their lives. And it's sad because they have not graduated to the next level of their life financially, emotionally, and socially. Now, I still love these dudes. It's still none but love. But at least from my end, there's no hate. There's no hate coming from me. But at the end of the day, people, when you start realizing that you have outgrown this circle, it's time to edit that friendship. And what I mean by edit that friendship is that you don't necessarily let the people go, but you hang out with them in significantly smaller details. Instead of y'all spending all Sunday and every Sunday at brunches and stuff like that, just brunching it up, you might spend one Sunday with them every 6 or 7 weeks. Why? Because you're doing vastly more important things on the other Sundays. You're chilling with your girl who eventually becomes your wife. You're starting that business. You're reading that book. You're basically figuring out ways to legally lower your taxes. That's the kind of stuff that you start doing. But the people who don't want to get on the people who do not want to get on your bandwidth, everybody, don't feel sad, unfortunately, to some extent, if you go here and they go here. Because at the end of the day, the knowledge that you have, if a person is not willing to receive it, they don't respect it or respect you, don't continue to hang out in those circles. And that includes the women that you date as well. If you're trying to go to this place, but you're dating a person who brings you down, then at some point, that person is an anchor, and then they're basically not allowing you to go to your next level. Another thing I started to notice that happened was this. Years later, a few of these same brothers and a few of these same guys and a few of these same girls have reached out to me and said, Chris, when I see the way that you carry yourself now, or I see the way that you talk or the things that you bring up, you're still very passionate about certain things, but I can tell there's a growth and a maturity that a lot of the people who we used to hang out with, they just flat out don't have. And that's why I say it's kind of sad because they're still in the exact same situation that all of us were in a decade ago. And I don't forgive me if I'm wrong. I think if I'm crediting the wrong person, I apologize. I think it was Muhammad Ali that said, if a person is the exact same way at 40 as they were at 30, then they wasted an entire decade of their life because nothing got better and nothing improved. And people, you don't want to be that person. You want to be that individual that when people come to you, they always walk away thinking, shaking their head, saying, "Man, every time I talk to this person, they just push me to become a better man or a better woman." Fellas, if you're hanging out with girls, you want to kick it with women that every time you hang out with them, you think to yourself, "Okay, I need to step my finances up. I need to step my financial literacy up. I need to step my entrepreneur game up, and I need to basically work out and take care of myself." I promise you, if you start hanging out with women who make you think that way, fellas, not only do your dating options improve, you become a better human being and a better man. Fellas, another thing, the people that you hang out with, and from a friend perspective and everything, yeah, it's cool. You want to have your boys that you can pretty much go abroad with, that you can chill with, and things of that nature. You want to have your friends that you can hang out with and you can have your fun with. But make sure, everybody, that you are surrounding yourself, fellas, with the type of men that are pushing you to become better financially, better physically as far as your body, better mentally as far as your mind, better emotionally, and also better financially. Because those are the types of friends that when ish hits the fan and when life starts life, and let's be honest, life happens to all of us. All of us get fired. All of us lose our girls. All of us essentially at some point we have situations where we're running out where finances ain't right. When life happens and life starts lifing, these are the boys that are going to essentially pick you up out of the rut that you're in and say, "Dude, you weren't like this in college. Dude, you weren't like this back in the day. You used to be so confident. What happened to that confident guy? I don't understand this dude. I don't recognize this guy." Those are the kind of friends, everybody, that you want to surround yourself with, because once again, when life starts life, and when your girl leaves you, when you get fired, when your business fails, you want to have those kind of friends that say it's okay to cry on Sunday, but on Monday you better pick yourself up, get back on that horse, and better start riding again, because I don't respect quitters. I don't respect losers. Those are the kinds of friends, fellas, you want to have in your life. And those are the kinds of people that you want to basically have around you at all times. Another thing too, as well, everybody, that I want to talk about, in regards to these dire economic times that we're living in, a lot of I do work in my corporate career in the private industry, but every now and then I do work with the federal government, and it's been really interesting because as I take a look at what's kind of going on with Doge and like all these individuals for the federal government that are getting fired, I believe 9,000 people were fired the other day from the Interior Department in regards to like watching our parks and services and things like that. Roughly 600,000, I believe, Central Americans lost their TPS in regards to their citizenship, and they're basically in a citizenship limbo. And if you are in citizenship limbo, depending on what you do for a living, it's very challenging to get a job. So a lot of people are asking, okay, from an economic perspective, Chris, with all these things that are kind of going on from the political perspective, what can I do today to, I would say, build my wealth? That's actually a question that I've been getting a lot, that's been reoccurring and things of that nature. And what's interesting about it is that, as I said earlier, you should be doing the same things in bad economic times that you are doing in good economic times from an investment perspective. Oh, thank you, Reby Fit. I appreciate that. Everybody, thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you for the super chat. Everybody, my cash app is $Chris CHRIS P485. $CHRIS P485. Please subscribe to the channel. Financipation. Addition on top of that, please send me a cash app. I enjoy giving you guys free content, and always support your content creators, everybody. There's a lot of people that I watch when they go live, and I'll send them $1, I'll send them $5, every now and then I'll send them $20. Why? Because you want to support your content creators. But a lot of people have been asking me, "Chris, I'm scared I'm gonna lose my house. If I get fired from this government, from this good government job, then how am I gonna pay my mortgage and things of that nature?" Chris, I'm terrified because all the things going on. Chris, I'm scared my such and such friend who I know, who I go to church with, who I hoop or I play ball with, or who I hang out with, I'm scared they may get deported. I've always looked at life like this, everybody. Maybe this is because I come from some more of a, let's say, lower middle class upbringing. Focus on the things in life that you can actually change, and the things that you can't change, try to put yourself in the best position, so if the worst thing possible happens, you are still in the best possible situation to improve and to do better. So what do I mean by that? So Let's say you were in a situation where you work for the federal government, right? Because this is something that's happening to a lot of people, and you were absolutely terrified that in the event that your department gets axed, you were going to be unemployed. I would say, just personally, and this once again comes from a guy who has never worked in the federal government, whether you work for company A, company B, company C, whether you work in the private industry, you work for a private developer, you work for the federal government. At this point in your life, everybody, it probably would not be a good idea if you're scared that you might potentially be fired or unemployed or laid off or your department may be closed. It's probably not a bad idea if you essentially brush up your resume, build up your skills, and start saying, okay, in the event I do get fired, appreciate that line. By the way, everybody, please keep firing these questions. I appreciate it. Well, please keep sending the questions my way. It's not a bad idea if you essentially start brushing up your resume and say, okay, what are my skills? What's my skill set? What am I doing? And it's not a bad idea to say, okay, let me put myself on the open market. If I've worked for 10 years for the IRS, let me see if I can get a job let me see if I can get a consulting job on the side. Let me see if I can get an accounting job in the private industry and see what happens. And what's going to happen is when you start going to these interviews and you start essentially sitting down and talking with these folks, they're going to let you know whether you suck or whether you're good. And the best part about it is if you do suck, as we used to say when I was in the personal training industry, if you do suck, it's not that you're bad. This is an area of improvement. So if you got your degree 10 years ago and it was an associate's degree in accounting and they say, okay, cool, we're only looking for people that have bachelor's degrees, perfect. That's a perfect time for you to figure out a way to get that bachelor's degree. If you got a degree, if you don't have a degree and you're scared you're going to get fired and you look on the internet and you say, okay, this is where my industry is going. What certification should I get? This is a perfect time to get those certifications. And the best part about it, everybody, is that YouTube, a lot of this stuff you can send, and you in classes like Udemy, Udemy, you can literally take these courses and get them on your own free time. So instead of watching college football all Saturday, you should spend half the day essentially getting this extra certification or this extra degree. Or instead of essentially worrying that the worst could potentially happen, you could get fired from your job, brush off that resume, start interviewing with different companies. See where it is that you're weak. See where it is that you're strong. And the beautiful thing about it is when you get proactive, the world can potentially become yours. I've seen it happen again and again where a person essentially gets off their butt. They start figuring out different ways to get different certifications, different types of degrees, and they go from making $40,000 to $80,000 in like less than 1 year. They go from making $80,000 to $250,000 in less than 3 years. They go from making $250,000 to $500,000. People, there are ways to do this. One of the things you want to, whatever I'll say about America, I will say this: this is the greatest country in the world when it comes to building generational wealth. So as a result from that, when you get serious about getting on your financial journey and your financial grind, everybody, the world can literally become yours. So if you were in a situation, I don't care whether you work for the federal government or you work in the private industry, if you are scared that your position might get axed, you might get fired, then guess what? You are in a perfect opportunity to start looking for something right now while you have a job. And even better yet, you are in a perfect opportunity to say, okay, what credentials do my career push? What credentials are the buzzword credentials in my industry? If you're a project manager, get a PMP certification. If you're an engineer, get a professional engineering license. If you're an accountant, get your CPA. If you're a financial advisor or financial professional, get your Series 7 license. If you're a personal trainer, get your ACE certification. Get your NASM certification. People, there are certifications and degrees in every industry. If you're a business major, get your MBA. There are certifications and degrees in every major, in every industry, and in every trade, in every blue collar trade, that if you get that certification or you get that degree, you are here and all the other peons are here. And by that, I mean you are literally unfireable. The whole employment market is turned upside down. Not to brag, but in my particular industry, as a superintendent and as a mechanical engineer, I literally get job offers every day, all over America and all over the world. Why? Because I made myself invaluable in the engineering and in the construction industry. I made myself invaluable in the finance and in the consulting industry. And by doing that, everybody, I'm blessed. Thank you, God. Thank you, Jesus, for it. I'm blessed in a situation where I know for a fact, if I had to, I can go up there and get another position, another job. And it's allowed me to be a provider for my family and for my wife, for my kids. So put yourself in that situation, everybody. Be proactive, not reactive. Once again, a lot of people right now are absolutely terrified about these financial economic times. The stock market is in the tank right now. Inflation is extremely high. Unemployment is rising. We don't actually know what's going on with the price of our eggs. We just know a whole bunch of chickens are dying. Gasoline is out of the roof. There's a very realistic possibility that our gas is about to skyrocket because of these trade wars, unfortunately, with China and with Mexico. and with Canada and with the UK and with Europe and places like that. We can't control that stuff, everybody. What you can control is, where's my industry going? Is this a terminal industry? Is AI going to take out my industry? Okay. Is my position going to potentially get terminated? If so, what are my skills today and what skills do I need to pick up so I'm good for life? That's the way, everybody, that I want you to start thinking, because there is a lot more to financial emancipation and to building generational wealth than just relying on one job. There's a lot more to building generational wealth and having financial emancipation than just having one college degree, or just focusing on one small business, or just focusing essentially on trying to become a professional athlete or a professional singer. In America, everybody, you should have multiple streams of income. And this is especially doubly important for my 9-to-5ers, because roughly 85% of America's workforce essentially files a W-2. You should be working in corporate America, and you should have a business on the side. You should have your 9-to-5 job, and you should have your 6-to-10 career. Now, a lot of people always ask me, Chris, are you serious about that? You expect me to work from 8 o'clock in the morning to 4 o'clock in p.m., go home, chill with my girl for an hour or two, get some dinner, go to the gym, and then from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m., you expect me to work on the business? That seems like a lot of work. Well, guess what? It is a lot of work. But you know the best part about it? It basically will make you rich. It's as simple as that, everybody. Yes, you need to spend your time going to the gym. You need to spend time hanging out with your friends. You need to spend your time with your girl. I get all of that. But at the end of the day, everybody, God gives us 24 hours a day. And you can use that 24 hours a day to get wealthy, or you can use that 24 hours a day to watch television. So for all my 9-to-5ers, I behoove you, go online, find out what your skill set is, find out what your passions are, find out what your hobby is, find out what you're good at. And yes, while you are working that 9-to-5 job, you should spend your lunch breaks dropping golden knowledge. Appreciate it, Reby Fit. I appreciate it. While you are doing your lunch breaks, you should be working on that side business. While you are basically hanging out on the weekends, you should spend about an hour or two at least working on your side business. You should basically have another form of income that allows you to essentially create a SEP IRA where you can put 80% of your profits on your side business if you have another retirement account. You should have a separate business so that as you are basically building up yourself and building up your wealth, you have essentially a safety net. So in the event that your boss comes in and starts talking reckless to you and calling outside your name, you can say, you know what, I don't need to work here anymore. I can go get another job. I've been in positions where I've told bosses that and literally did not care what their reaction was or what happened, because I knew for a fact I either already had another job waiting for me, or I could get another one within an hour. I've been in that position before, everybody. I'm not trying to brag. I'm not trying to belittle any of my previous employers. At the end of the day, everybody, you should be so good at what you do that you know you can get another job if you have to. And more importantly, you should be working on your side business to the point where in the event you need to basically go a couple months and do your own thing, voila, you can. I call those celestial business. And if you're wondering, Financipation, and by celestial business, I mean that's the business you can pass to your kids and your grandkids. And yes, if you're curious, Financipation is a celestial business. It's a business I can pass to my kids. I can pass to my wife if needed to. I have the LLCs and everything already set up for it, and it's good to go. I've been doing this financial consulting thing for almost 20 years. So at the end of the day, I know for a fact that in the event that I had to, I could easily give this business to someone else who I knew deserved it. And on top of me being a senior manager in corporate America. So I'm saying that to say this, everybody, make sure that you work really hard, make sure that you work really smart, and make sure that you are always doing something to improve your skill set. And it gets me to another point that I also want to make. When I talked about my friends, my boys, who I used to hoop and play ball, I used to play pickup, I used to play, go to the hood, play ball with, hang out with on the weekends and stuff like that, chill and party with, happy hours, all that kind of nine and stuff like that. Something else I started to notice that happened too is this. Eventually you start realizing what circles you should be in and what spheres you should be in. You start realizing, okay, what kind of people do you want to actually associate yourself with? Because if you are trying to go to the next level and you're constantly trying to help people come with you, and I hate to say this, but at some point you have to realize that this person does not want to go to the 25th floor and they want to stay on the 5th floor, but you're on the 12th floor, you're trying to bring them up. Eventually that dead weight is going to carry you down. Now, I am not once again saying that you should let quote unquote family members or friends go. I think that in some capacity, you should always be present in the lives of the individuals who had your back. You should be present in the lives of the people that love you and legitimately want to help you. But I also will say this. You may get into the NBA, everybody, playing with bums that couldn't make the varsity basketball team. You're not going to become that CPA if you're hanging out with people who don't even want to go to college. So at some point, you have to edit that relationship. You have to say, okay, I love y'all, and we're gonna be friends, and we're gonna be friends and boys for life. But I got to edit this relationship. I can't tell you how many people I've met who, for instance, let's say who I knew in Philly, who got job opportunities like in Sacramento or Oakland or Los Angeles or Kansas City or Detroit or Austin, Texas. And these were job offers that were literally 3 times what they were making in Philly. And they refused to take the job offer because they were scared of leaving their brother behind or leaving their sister behind or leaving their mother behind. And what was sad was that what ended up happening was that this individual, or these individuals rather, they stayed in the same situation, the same podunk, rundown row homes that they were in. They're still there today. Why? Because when God gave them an opportunity to get up and go, they didn't take because they were scared of the quote unquote leaving their family members behind. And what's also sad is that in this same example, there were other family members who did actually get up and leave. They joined the military. They went to Kuwait. They went to Iraq. They went to Texas. They went to Florida. And 10 years later, those individuals are doing significantly better. And this is from my white friends, my black friends, my Asian friends, my Hispanic friends. I don't know why it is, but for some strange reason, when people get up and they go and they move and they go to another state, another country, they go to another part of the state and they completely leave the environment that they grew up in, most of the time, those individuals do significantly better. Do what you have to, so you do what you want to do. Exactly, Mike. I agree with that. That's exactly it. A lot of times, everybody, you might have to work a little bit harder for a year or so. You might have to basically get up and go. You might have to lead that girl. You might have to basically step your game up. You might have to go to college. You might have to learn that trade. You might have to travel around the country for a couple of years. But what's interesting is that when you go back to them same blocks you grew up in, you go back to them same hoods you grew up in, the people you used to kick it with, it's different. I'm not saying that it's different in a way that you think you're better than them, but it's different because you realize, man, this entire time I've went all over the world. I've traveled here. I've traveled there. I've started businesses. I've gotten fired. I've fired people. I've put people out of business. I've employed people. I've gotten married. I've had kids. And when I come back to where I grew up, y'all are still hanging out at the same spots we used to kick it with in high school. Y'all are still doing the exact same stuff we used to do back then. Y'all are still trying to game the same girls we used to talk to back in the day. And it's sad because you have grown and they have not. And it's like you want to kind of help your friends, you want to help your family, you want to help these people, but they're not willing to do the work. And when that happens, you love them, but you edit that relationship. You love them from a distance. You say, okay, I love y'all. If y'all ever want me to help you, this is what I need you to do. I want you to read this book. I want you to get this certification. I want you to learn this trade. I want you to join the military. I'll help you do that stuff. What I'm not going to do is stay in the same environment that we all used to be in and not grow at all. And that is Financipation, everybody. A lot of times on this channel, I talk about people that need to, invest into max out their Roth IRA, max out their HSA, or max out their 401k, or they need to start a business, or they need to start a SEP IRA. That is an aspect of, yes, starting businesses and investing in the stock market and buying property, land, and real estate. That is very true. But the most important thing you can do if you are serious about building generational wealth and giving your kids a better lifestyle than you had, sometimes is legitimately getting up and going to in a completely different country, a completely different state, and just starting over and figuring it out. If you don't believe me, why is it that so many immigrants come into America legally and they do so much better than Americans? Do you really want to know the reason why? And this is coming from a guy that married an immigrant. Because immigrants understand that if they go 7,000 miles away to a country they don't know anybody in, that they have no money, they have no friends, they have no family there, they have to make it. They can't afford to go back to Honduras or Trinidad and Tobago or Jamaica or Haiti. They essentially have to make it. That is the reason why you can see a Cuban person or a Haitian person or a Jamaican person or a Nigerian person or a Trinidadian person come to America, be in Section 8 housing, be on welfare, be on government housing, and 10 years later, they're a multimillionaire. But the same people that was living in the projects, that's living in the hood, that's living in the trailer parks next to them, 10 years later, that are American born, by the way, they're still there. Why? Because immigrants, they get it. They come to this country for a reason. They come to this country with a plan, and they ain't got no family members. They don't got no friends here. They don't have anybody, no support system necessarily to help them per se, no crutches to fall back on, and they can't go back, or at least they don't want to go back to their home country. They have to make it here. And Americans are thinking the exact same way. Okay, it's not working where I'm at. I need to get up and go somewhere. I don't know if it's me joining the Army. I don't know if it's me joining the Air Force. I don't know if it's me learning a trade. I don't know if it's me basically taking a scholarship and going halfway across the country. A lot of times, from my experience, and I want to say this is whether you're Muslim, whether you're black, whether you're white, whether you're Christian, whether you're atheist, it does not matter. The people that get up and leave where they grew up typically are vastly better off, period. And once again, this is not a race thing. I've seen this with my good old boyfriends. I've seen this with people. I've seen this with Asian individuals. I've seen this with Hispanic people. I've seen this with brothers. I've seen this with every race, culture, creed. People that get up and leave where they grew up, and they get jobs. They learn trades. They join the military. They get on a plan. They almost always do better. That's the American dream, everybody. Period. As an African American, 3 generations ago, my grandfather was in Pulaski, Tennessee. That is the home of the KKK, if you're not familiar with it. My grandmother grew up in Mississauga, Mississippi, one of the poorest counties in America at the time, and it still is, I believe. And it's interesting because if the trajectory of my grandparents' lives, they started in Chicago, ended up in Indianapolis, and their grandkids are significantly better off financially than my cousins that stayed in those environments that are still in Mississippi or Pulaski, Tennessee today. And what's the difference? The difference, everybody, is this: they got up and they left, and they were forced to do better, and they got away from Jim Crow as well. And I see the same thing with my wife's family who are immigrants. I see the same thing with my friends that are immigrants as well. They left an environment where they were surrounded in comfort and went to a place where they were uncomfortable, and as a result, they're much better today. If you like what I'm saying, everybody, please support the channel. Hit that super chat button. My Cash App is hashtag CHRISP485. As I was saying earlier, Financipation means a lot of things. A lot of times I talk about, as I said earlier, stocks. I talk about the real estate market. I talk about index fund investing. I talk about entrepreneurship. But a lot of everybody about building generational wealth legitimately is getting up and going to a better place that's much harder. Putting yourself in uncomfortable situations. Figuring out, saying, okay, I don't know what I'm doing right here, and I got to learn. Imposter syndrome is essentially knowing that you don't know what you're doing, but you're willing to figure it out. And that's the beautiful thing, everybody, about things like the internet, about YouTube and stuff like that. Because at the end of the day, you can literally learn anything if you know where to look. You look hard enough. And that's what essentially I find a lot of people are doing when they get sick and tired of the BS and sick and tired of the situation they are in life. So once again, if you work for the federal government, you're scared to lose your job. Guess what? You got all the time in the world to increase your skill set. If you work in the private industry, you work for a company that does not respect you. Guess what? Not only can you get another job, you can also improve your skill set while you're there. Okay, you got a boss that's disrespectful. You don't particularly like him. Guess what? You got an entire world of possibilities as far as other places you can interview, things like that. I'm talking to my 9-to-5ers on this one. If you're working in an environment and all your ideas keep getting stolen by your coworkers, you keep getting talked down to, people think they can treat you any kind of way, I promise you, if you are legitimately working hard in that particular position, because I've been in these situations before, and you essentially are interviewing, you're probably going to be shocked at how much you have learned if you are actually applying yourself every second you're in corporate America. And then when you leave, they're going to find 2 or 3 people to replace you. Why? Because you were doing the work of 2 or 3 men. I've been in situations like that before. And you know the best part about it? Generally speaking, everybody, I'm dropping some knowledge on this one. Generally speaking, if you stick around a company, on average, they're going to give you a 3% pay raise every year. If you're not familiar with that, a 3% pay raise essentially matches inflation, because inflation rates on average 3% every year. 3% every year. So if you're getting a 3% pay raise, you literally are treading water. If you're getting a 2% pay raise, then guess what? You are losing money. You get a 4% pay raise, oh wow, you got a 1% pay raise of your money. So if you're working in a company, right, and on average you're getting a 3% pay raise, you're not making any money. But on average, when you leave and go to another company, you get a 15% pay raise. So if you are learning your skill set, you're learning what you should be doing, and you're mastering your craft, everybody, in your corporate America. If you're working for a company that has you working like a dog, they got you doing 3 people's work, they're not promoting you, they're not hiring you, cool. After 3 or 4 years, bounce. And I promise you, when you go to the next company, nothing feels better than getting that $40,000 or $50,000 pay raise, basically, and putting your old company out of business, or telling all your friends don't go work there. I've seen it happen my entire life with multiple companies, everybody. So you're in corporate, cool, work your balls off. If you're not in corporate, cool, work your balls off. If you're an entrepreneur, cool, work your balls off. You should make hard work your best friend. And if you do that, the world will be yours, particularly in capitalism, okay? Now, another thing that I want to touch on as well is a lot of you guys are asking about the tariffs and things like that. And oh, Chris, I'm scared that I'm scared that the price of steel is going to go. I'm scared the price of eggs is going to go. I'm scared the price of gas is going to go. Well, actually, eggs and gas have already went up. A lot of people basically ask me questions about tariffs and things of that nature. So I'll just start at the very beginning with tariffs. So a tariff is essentially a national sales tax that gets thrown into the country that you live in. So if you put a $10,000 tariff on goods from China, China's just simply going to make everything $10,000 more expensive and send it to America. So yes, it is a tax on you. But you know what about it though? It's like this, everybody. Even if you do get hit with that tariff, there are still things you can do essentially to improve your wealth. There are things you can still do to legally lower your taxes. And that is what you should be focusing on. You can't focus on what a guy in the White House is doing right now or what Musk and Trump are doing. You can't focus on that kind of stuff because there's nothing, unfortunately, that you can do to stop that. If you voted, cool. If you didn't vote, then the problem is on you. But you got what you deserve. But at the end of the day, if you get ticked off about what's kind of going on from a political perspective, from a financial political perspective, guess what? There are still things you can do, and focus on the things that are within your power. Don't believe me? I'll give you a good example. First things first. There are 3 investments you can make that legally lower your taxes. And one of them is literally so free that the fact that 100% of Americans are not doing it is absolutely horrifying to me. And that is simple. Invest into your 401k. And best part about it, most employers give some form of a 401k match. So what do I mean by that? Let's say you work for a company, right, that says I will match the first $5,000 you put into your 401k. That means if you put $5,000 in, you get $10,000 out. It's like this. Imagine if I walk up to you on Valentine's Day and say, give me $5,000 and I will give you $10,000 on Christmas Day. Name one of you that would not take that deal. And the reason why you would take that deal, everybody, is because it's free money. But what if I told you the 401k is a tax efficient account? In other words, if you put money into your 401k from a tax perspective, it basically saves you and lowers your taxable income. It's the same way with an IRA. So if you have an IRA, so you have a traditional IRA, and you make $60,000 a year, you put $5,000 into your IRA. That means the IRS is only going to tax you on $55,000. Or let's say you have a Roth IRA. The IRS is going to tax you today, and the money grows tax free. So whether there's a Democrat or a Republican in office, because IRAs have been in office, have been around through Democratic and Republican administrations, you have just legally lowered your taxes. And this has nothing to do with tariffs. It has nothing to do with the left or the right. So that's something you can do essentially regardless of whether there's a Democrat or a Republican in office. And I'm going to keep talking about that because I'm seeing all this fear mongering going on right now from a lot of my financial colleagues in regards to, one second, everybody. So I'm seeing a lot of fear mongering and everything in regards to what's going on right now with a lot of my financial colleagues. And I want to kind of push back on that because I don't care, as I said earlier, who is in the White House. There are a lot of things you can do to essentially build your wealth, regardless of who's there. And that's another one. The 401k, the Roth IRA, HSAs, there are things you can do. Additionally, it does not matter whether there is a left or right in the White House. Regardless of who's there, you can always apply for a better job. You can always get another certification. You can always learn another trade. You can always start another business. That's the beauty, everybody, of America. Sometimes you have to seriously just kind of step back from the whole political thing. And if you want to know more about my politics, subscribe to my Patreon. We can talk a lot more depth about that. But sometimes you have to seriously just kind of step away from the noise, away from the Fox Newses, the MSNBCs, the CNNs and stuff like that, and say, okay, I live in America. And regardless of what I want to say about America, with the police shootings, the mass incarceration stuff, all this political unrest and all this kind of stuff, in this country, you can literally build unimaginable amounts of wealth in one generation. You can go from being a pauper, essentially goes from Marcy Projects and become a billionaire like Jay-Z. You can go from basically growing up in the South Hill Projects and become a billionaire like LeBron James in one generation. That's the beauty of everybody of America. You can essentially go from being terrorized by white supremacist groups when you were a little boy to becoming Robert Smith, who's a third richest black man in the world, who's worth $10 billion with a B dollars. That's the beauty of America, everybody. And that's why I always push back when people talk about how quote unquote bad this country is and things like that. Because yes, there are issues with America, there's issues with every other country. But I'm seeing it in my own life. You can always start another e-product. You can always write another book. You can always essentially learn another trade. You can always learn another skill. And you can always buy more property, buy more land. I actually bought the whole land thing. I'm actually going to do an entire separate live on that because there's so much land that is available to be bought in America because so many people are, unfortunately, losing their farms today through foreclosure because of what's kind of going on politically. And there are so many people that are losing their houses today because of what's going on politically. If you are into buying land and property, everybody, and you're perfectly comfortable doing it in the states like Mississippi, Alabama, North Dakota, South Dakota, Wyoming, places like that, the world can literally be yours. Because the beautiful thing about land, just not to get too much on a tangent, you can buy a piece of property, let it sit there for 10 years, not do anything to develop it, and then have a data center developer show up and say, look, I'll pay you $1 million for this piece of land. You only spent $250,000 for it. That's literally how it works. Why? Because it's a very simple thing. God, he makes more people, but he does not make more land. And as a result, when you buy land, everybody, it's a perfect investment. I'm gonna do a whole separate podcast about that one, okay? And you don't gotta live there if you don't want to. You can stay in, you can continue living in Chicago, or living in Miami, or living in Los Angeles, and have property out in North Dakota. Not even live on it, essentially. Just not even worry about developing. Just keep it for a couple of decades, give it to your kid, and watch the property value quadruple. But like I said, I don't want to get too much on that because that's a podcast I'm gonna do for another day, and a live session I'm gonna do for another day. But in America, everybody, you can always create more wealth. And that's what I want to constantly bring home. You can always date better human beings. You can always date better people. You can always essentially, until you find your spouse or your wife or your husband, ladies, you can always essentially say, I deserve better than this, and move forward. And that's the way that I want you to think from a financipation standpoint, because at the end of the day, this is your life, and you need to make the most of that life. But Chris, what should I do about the price of eggs? So that's also something else that I hear a lot too. I mean, it's like this. You can move to the country. You can buy chickens, get a coop. You can do that if you want. Additionally, there's something else you can do as well. As I say, just start make more money. I know this sounds cliche, but at the end of the day, if eggs go to $20 a carton, which they might, it's a lot easier to stomach that if you make $100,000 versus if you make $20,000. And I'm gonna be perfectly honest with this as well. I was serious when I said if you work a 9 to 5, you should be working a 6 to 10 business, because at the end of the day, there's too much opportunity out here for you to only focus on, for you to be comfortable making $50,000 a year, or making $60,000, or making $160,000 a year. You should always be willing to do more. You should always be willing to do better. You should always be willing, essentially, to build that wealth and to figure out ways to increase it. Another thing too, I want you guys to also stream and think about as well is this. I'm perfectly okay with people working extra side hustles and businesses, and maximizing their income, maximizing their wealth, and figuring out ways to essentially. 1 second, guys. I'm perfectly comfortable, everybody, with individuals. Once again, building their empire and essentially maximizing what they do. I'm perfectly comfortable with that. But make sure you don't do that at the expense of losing your family and losing your kids and losing the individuals that you love. And I'm saying that because I've seen lots of people who have done that. Where yeah, they got the bag, they got the red bottoms, they got the purse, they got the F-150, they got the Jag, they got the Maserati, they got the Bentley, they got the 5 bed, they got the 10 bedroom house, they got the cars, they got the wraparound pool in the house, they got all this stuff, and they go home basically by themselves. You don't want that. You don't want that at all. Nothing to me is sadder than seeing a person that lost their family chasing wealth, and nothing is sadder than seeing a person that comes to the conclusion that they can always get another career, they can always start another business, they can always get another job. They can't find another wife, or they can't find another good wife, or they can't find other kids that love them. So, how to overcome any fears and limitations? The God. Very simple way to do it. The God. You got to get out there and just try it. I'll use myself as an example for this. I've been on projects before where I've had people tell me they don't think I could do a $2 million job. I literally laughed at the person, walked out the door, and I did a $100 million job the next year. Now, at the time, I didn't know I could do a $100 million job. Heck, at that time, I hadn't even done a $5 million job. But I was like, I refuse to sit in an environment where I have individuals telling me my worth and telling me what I can and can't do. As a man, I ain't tolerating that, period. And I essentially said, okay, I don't know what my limitations are, but I know my limitation is not this. So let me take the hardest possible thing, work my balls off for it, and see if I can do it. And I hit it. You know the best part about it? When you do that, when I did a $100 million job, 2 years later, I was doing a $1 billion job. So what I'm saying is this: how do you overcome your fears and limitations, brother? You just gotta get out there and play the game. It's no different from playing sports. It's no different from anything else. You got to get out there essentially and say, okay, this is what people are telling me I can't do. Now, are you going to be a little wimp and listen to that crap, or you're going to piss them off essentially and go out there and succeed both their and your wildest expectations. That's how you overcome your fears and your limitations. You have to basically say, okay, I refuse to allow others, including myself, to tell me what I can and cannot do. And once you put yourself in a situation where, okay, I have to sink, I have to swim or I'm going to sink, you figure out a way to do it. You are smarter than you think. You are tougher than you think. You are more resilient than you think. And you are a harder worker than you think. Get out there and try it. So that's the way I would say you have to overcome your fears and limitations. So I hope that answers your question, okay? You got to get out there and try. And by getting out there and trying, I mean you need to be reading books. You need to be watching YouTube channels like Financipation. You need to be listening to your mentors, and your mentors are authors such as Jack Welch, such as Jake Bogle, such as Michael Jordan, such as LeBron James, such as Robert Smith, such as Tony Robbins. Listen to your mentors. Those are all financial gurus that I was talking about, obviously, just now. Find your mentors, read their biographies, find out what they struggle with, find out what their fears and what they thought their limitations were, and go from there. Because I can tell you right now, if you went to I'll use LeBron James for an example. If you had told a 10-year-old LeBron James that one day you'd be worth $1.2 billion from basically shooting a basketball, at 10 years old, he probably would have laughed at you. If you had told a Kobe Bryant who scored 2 points when he was 12 years old in a Philadelphia basketball game, and everybody was laughing at him because his dad was in the NBA, everybody knew he was in the NBA, he sucked, that one day he'd be go down as probably at worst the second best shooting guard in NBA history. If you told him at 12 years old about that, he would have laughed at you. Why? Because he would not have known what his greatness could have been. But if he had listened to the limitations of himself, when he only scored 2 points when he was 12 years old in this basketball game in Philly, he never would have got to where he needed to be. And it's the same way in the business world and the finance world. You are smarter than you realize. You are a harder worker than you realize. You are more intelligent than you realize. And once you get out there and you actually put yourself in a situation where you have to succeed, and you do the work, you wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning, you work out, you take care of your body, you take care of your mind, you read books, you listen to podcasts, and you actually Google and try to figure out and use ChatGPT and then let it kind of say, okay, I'm at this level, how do I get to this level? You're going to be shocked at exactly how far you can go. That's how you overcome your limitations. All right, everybody. Once again, $ Chris P485, $ Chris P485. Keep them coming, keep them coming. Thank you for that question, by the way, to God. I appreciate that. Keep them coming. Once again, $ Chris P485, CHRS P485. If you're Financipation, I drop new content once a week. I typically drop my podcast every Sunday at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. My Cash App is $ CHRIS P485. Once again, $ CHRIS P485. In my channel, I typically just talk about different things about pushing people to become better versions of themselves financially. So whether that's making money, saving money, investing money, building generational wealth, financially emancipating themselves, starting businesses, entrepreneurship, the entire nine. I think that there's a lot of different ways you can essentially live up to your God-given potential. And flat out in America, particularly in the minority communities, we're not doing it to the extent that we should and that we can. Because once again, America has issues, everybody, but there's so much opportunity in this country. You can always write a book. You can always create an e-product. You can always get a better job. You can always go back to college. You can always learn a trade. You can always join the Marines. You can always join the Army. You can always essentially figure out ways to bring value to this world. And if you're a man, you got to bring value, but you can always figure out ways to increase your value to this world. And the thing about it is, once you increase your value to this world, the money follows. Period. All right, everybody, keep the questions coming. Keep the questions coming. And another thing too, maintain your mental health with this. I mean, I know right now there is just a whole bunch of stuff kind of going on in the world. You got planes crashing, you got people losing, you got thousands of government workers losing their jobs. Here in Miami, there's over literally 300,000 people that just found out that there's a possibility they could be deported. And a lot of times people are horrified about what could possibly go on. And I'm just always say this: focus on the things that you can focus on and the things that you control. And I know it's hard, I know it's challenging, but sometimes you got to just separate yourself from all the BS that's kind of going on in the world and focus and do you. And by doing you, you start to realize, okay, I can't change that issue, but I can change this. I can't change what's going on in the White House, but I can change how many books that I read a year. I can change what podcasts that I listen to. I can change what content I'm consuming. I can change how I spend my money. I can change what women I date. That's the kind of stuff you can focus on, everybody. Focus on that. And the beautiful thing about it is once you start clearing yourself of all this mental stress and mental anguish going on, you allow your natural creative juices to essentially flow. It's going to help you build your wealth. All right, everybody, getting a little long now, so keep them questions coming. Keep them questions coming. Hearing you loud and clear, man. Appreciate it, Jay. Salute. Appreciate it. Yeah, focus on the things you can focus on, and that's what it is. So all my fellas out there, as I say all the time, a lot of times, 90% of a man's issues in the first world country. By first world, I mean obviously the Western world, certain Asian countries, things like that. 90% of a man's issues in the Western world, in the first world countries, can be solved by us working harder and taking care of our bodies. So if you're depressed, work out. If you ain't got no money, work harder. If you're feeling low, down and sad, go lift some weights. Go lift some very heavy weights. What do you do when you feel overwhelmed? What is your framework to prioritize? All right, that's actually a perfect question. This is how I actually do it. And let me step back before I answer that question. So right now I'm in a very, very stressful period of my life. I'm running Financipation. I'm running the YouTube version of Financipation. I'm running a financial consulting business, also Financipation. I'm in corporate America. I'm building right now a $1.1 billion project. I'm in senior management in corporate America. I'm married and I got 2 kids that are under 3. So obviously I'm in a very stressful period of my life because I got just a lot of stuff going on. This is the way I prioritize it. It's old school, but first and foremost, I just write down what I got to do. And when you write down what you got to do, it lets you know, okay, what takes priority over what. And I specifically write it down on a sheet of paper or on my phone because by doing that, it allows me to prioritize what's important. Appreciate it, Maurice. Appreciate it, bro. Likewise, man. I got to get you back on the podcast. I'm seeing what you're doing, and it's dope. So, yeah, that's what I do. I prioritize it by writing down, okay, what needs to get done. And once you figure out after you write down, you can visually see what needs to get done. From there, you can start putting importance to it. Okay, this is due tomorrow. I have to get this done. Okay, this is due next year. I can get this done. Okay, this is costing me lots of money. So I need to get this thing out right. Okay, this girl right here, she's taking a lot of my energy away. So is this a relationship that I should continue? So prioritize it by you basically figuring out what the consequences are going to be by not doing this now, and then more importantly, what can be done today, what can be done tomorrow, and that's how you prioritize it. Me personally, anything that's residually taking money out of my account, whether it's credit card debt, whether it's a car debt, whether it's a stupid car loan, whether it's me subsidizing a lazy family member, whatever it is, anything that's financially draining my life and it's got some serious compound interest to it, that is priority number 1 for me by getting it out of my life, period. Anything that's going to financially stop me from potentially getting that promotion at work, that's something also get out of my life. So if I got 10 things I need to do at work and one of them could potentially get me fired, obviously that one thing is the first thing I'm going to take care of so that doesn't happen. If I got something else that's due, the deadline is today, and then another item is the deadline is due next Tuesday, I'm going to take out the item that's due today. So write down what has to be done and write down what needs to be completed. And from there, you can start prioritizing what's most important. And another thing to prioritize as well, prioritize yourself. We are not machines. We are human beings. We break. So by prioritizing yourself, if you are a type of guy like myself who you get up very early, you work out really hard, you work out before work, you work out after work. Then when you're at work, you're in an extremely stressful environment. Nobody looks like you. Everybody's always asking you 50 million questions. When you're in corporate, you got different things coming at you sideways, constantly left and right. Prioritize yourself. You need to spend that day getting that massage. You need to spend that day essentially just kind of retreating at the beach and just kind of reading a book. You need to spend that day just chilling with your wife or your girl and just kind of relaxing and putting the kids down and leaving them with grandma. Make sure that one way to prioritize yourself is that you have to figure out that nobody's going to take care of you like you, and you have to take care of yourself better than anything else possible. So prioritize yourself. Now, sometimes that involves just basically hooping and playing a game of basketball. Sometimes that involves you basically just chilling with your girl for eating. Sometimes that involves you just going to a club and dancing. Sometimes that involves you basically going to the beach and just reading. And for me, a lot of times it involves you just getting up. A lot of times it involves just getting up at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning and doing a hardcore heavy workout or hitting a heavy bag or sparring, or hitting the ball, going to the gym and boxing or kickboxing. So you got to figure out basically what is what allows me to mentally and just free up my juices so you can work longer and harder. So I hope I answered your question, Jay. That's how I prioritize it. Write down a list what you need to do, and then on top of that, figure out how you can improve yourself. So yep, keep them coming, everybody. Keep them coming. By all means, everybody, please hit that super chat. Please hit that super chat. Please support your social media influencers. Please support your content creators because we do this, and it helps the algorithm. More importantly, it helps our bottom line. So I love giving you guys free content. Keep them coming. Keep them coming. Yes, order of importance, consequences. What happens if I don't get A, B, or C done? What happens if I get this done tomorrow? What happens if I don't get it done tomorrow? That's what you got to focus on. Okay, that's what you got to focus on. $ Chris P485. $CHRIS P485. And focus on the things you can change. The things you can't change, just pray about it and be like, all right, then I can do about this. And you keep it moving. Keep it moving. Another thing as well too that I always tell people to do, if you are honestly stressed out in corporate and you honestly don't see I guess a light at the end of the tunnel, sometimes it's not really a bad idea to not necessarily just get another job. Sometimes it's not a bad idea necessarily to just transfer to a different department. So what I mean by that, let's say you work for a company in Orlando, right? And you're good at what you do, but you just feel like you're stuck in a rut. You feel like it's not working. And this particular company also has a sister office, let's say in Miami, or let's say in Chicago, or let's say in Philly or something like that. Sometimes I've seen this happen as well, where it's not necessarily that you're not good at what you do. It's not necessarily that you're not competent, but you're just in the wrong environment. It's kind of like trying to it's kind of like being a really good basketball player, but somebody told you got to play soccer. Like it's not necessarily you're still gonna be athletic, you're still gonna be good, but it's not necessarily the realm you should be in. I've seen it happen as well for people from my corporate America, my 9 to 5ers, where you are extremely good at what you do, but you're in an apartment or an environment that's just not allowing you to grow. And maybe it's from a racial perspective, maybe it's just from a fact that they're doing A, B, and C, and your specialty is D, E, and F. Whatever it is, sometimes it's not necessarily that you suck at what you do or that you're not happy. Sometimes you just need honestly a change of scenery, and I've seen that benefit people as well. All right, everybody, keep it moving, keep it coming, keep it coming. So yeah, so this podcast, everybody, I just wanted to talk about. A lot of people are right now kind of struggling from a fear perspective about what they can do in this current economic times that we live in. And with Financipation, I'm always talking about just different ways that people can financially free themselves and build generational wealth. And I wanted to come a little different on this one because I always talk about, like I said, the 3 pillars. I always talk about like starting business and entrepreneurship. And yes, I did touch on those things in this podcast. But one of the main ways you can essentially succeed financially is to get certain people out of your life and to bring new people into it. To get out of toxic relationships, be single for a season, and then build personal relationships. They call it your winter season. Sometimes it's good to just hibernate and just focus on doing you and letting all the other distractions, all the politics, the women, the girls, whatever it is, letting all that BS out of your life, focusing on becoming the best version of yourself, whether it's working out, whether it's hitting the gym, whether it's learning a new trade, whether it's getting new friends, whether it's joining a church or religious institution, whatever it is. Sometimes it's literally just about escaping the stupid matrix that we all are forced to live in. So you know what? For our next 6 to 9 months, I'm gonna work on myself, and you are gonna love what happens when the winter is over and you come back out into the world. Okay, focus on that. All right, everybody. Once again, it's your boy Chris. Thank you for listening to this particular podcast and for this live session. I love doing this because there's a certain level of realness that you get when you just talk to the camera. You talk more important to the people to answer your questions. So I hope I answered all you guys' questions in regards to well, how do you prioritize things in your life, in regards to how you become a better version of yourself, male or female, getting certain leeches out of your life, and hopefully bringing in people that actually are going to build up and make you a better man or a better woman. So everybody, please like, please comment, please subscribe to my channel, Financipation. Once again, I drop it every Sunday, a new podcast episode every Sunday, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. This week, in honor of Black History, I'm talking about Blacks Are Not Poor series. I'm having part 3 come out this Sunday at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. By all means, please check it out because the first 2 episodes have been fire in this particular series. And on top of that, I'm also talking about, as I said earlier, at every channel, building generational wealth. How would you manage time effectively? What's your strategy? There's a simple way that I do it to God. It's like this. Just like I said earlier, I write down what needs to get done. And then from there, I have systems in place. Okay, I need to have this done by 9 a.m. I need to have this done by 10 a.m. I need to have this done by 11 a.m. I need to have this done by 1 p.m. by 2 p.m. So for a good example, Sunday mornings, right? I wake up at 5 a.m. I work out hard. I'm talking lifting extremely heavy weights, or I go to the gym and I box like, or I hit a heavy bag from about 5 a.m. to 7 a.m. From there, I come back, shower, wake my kids up, play with them, and then from about 7 to about 9:30 or 10, I'm with my kids. Then my wife gets up, um, and she has her time to kind of do her own thing. Then from about 10 to 2, I'm working on Financipation. I'm working on my businesses. And then for about an hour after that, I basically do something stuff in corporate America. So literally from 5 a.m. Sunday mornings till about 3 p.m. on Sunday mornings, I literally have it down to a science about what I'm going to be doing. And obviously there are going to be Sundays where I'm like, I take my kids to the park, I take my wife out on a date, or we go to the mall, or I take the kids to the museum or something like that. So there's obviously times where I kind of change that, but I have it down to a schedule. Okay, this is what I need to take care of tomorrow. This is what I need to take care of this weekend, and that's how I effectively manage my time. And it's like that in my corporate America salaries. I mean, in my corporate America realm, it's like that in my business profession, and it's like that in my life. So that's how I do it. Appreciate it, God. Thank you for that $20. I appreciate that, man. Thank you. I appreciate that. But that's what it is, man. Literally just prioritize what is important. Another thing too is this: always prioritize the special people in your life. You get that special girl, prioritize her. You get that special ladies, you get that special dude, prioritize him. Figure out different ways to prioritize. Man, having a system is imperative. Exactly, exactly, Maurice. Having a system is absolutely imperative because if you don't have that system, you're just winging it. Having a system is imperative, and for me personally, it's not here, but I have like a whiteboard I actually write my stuff on. And if I'm not near that whiteboard, I write it on my phone, and that's where I talk to. And that's essentially how I basically prioritize what I'm doing. So yeah, that's really what it boils down to. And do that. How do you create your system? I create my system like this. I figure out where do I want to be 3 years, 5 years, a year from now, and from there I say, okay, what do I do to get to that point? So let's say that I want to be a senior superintendent in my particular career. Or let's say I want to be a CPA. I look at people that are already senior superintendents, or I look at people that are already CPAs and say, okay, what did this individual do to get to that point? If you're a CPA, you essentially got an accounting degree. So, okay, that means I need to get my accounting degree. If you have that accounting degree, you say, okay, cool. Now that I have this accounting degree, what credentials do I need to get to become a certified public accountant? Okay, now so you figure out what the tests are, you figure out what kind of certification you need to do, you figure out how you need to study to get that, and you look at people who are already CPAs. And the reason why I say that is very simple, because you do not want to spend 10 to 15 years of your life trying to get a credential, trying to get somewhere, and then get there and realize that you hate the lifestyle that it provides you. So, for instance, if you want to be, for instance, a Navy SEAL, right? And it looks really cool. It looks dope on movies, stuff like that. But when you become a Navy SEAL, you realize, wait a minute, these guys are away from their families 300 days out of the year, and they have a 95% divorce rate. Is this really what I want to do for a living? Hanging out with people, or better yet, reading books about the people who have these positions, it puts you in perspective. Say, okay, is this what I really want to do? It's the same way with your systems. Figure out where you want to be in 5 years, but more importantly, find the people who are already there and see if that's a lifestyle that you want. Because if it's a lifestyle that you want, perfect, because you are putting yourself on the path to get there. But if it's a lifestyle that you do not want, course change and change the trajectory of your direction. So that's how you get in your system, okay? Another thing, too, about getting in your system is that set up small goals on the way there. So this is what I mean by that. If you want to get, for instance, let's say to the NBA, and you're 12 years old, the first thing you got to do is make the middle school basketball team. Then you got to make the high school basketball team. Then you got to make a goal about making varsity. Then you got to make a goal about playing college ball, basically going to Europe and playing over there. And then when you get to Europe or you're playing a high level Division I basketball, then you have a chance to make it to the NBA. So regardless of what your system should essentially be, that's an example. Your system should be small goals that you are setting to get to that point. And by doing that, it's going to make you vastly better at what you do. That's how I set my systems. I say, where do I want to be? How do I get there? Who's already there? The people that are already there, I study their methods. I study how they got. I study their credentials. How do I get there? How do I put myself in my room so I can learn? How do I put myself in rooms so I can learn from these individuals? That's how I do it. Any other questions? Keep them coming. Keep them coming. Any other questions? Mm-hmm. Once again, $ CHRISP 485. CHRIS. And my system is simple, everybody. I am on the path of creating generational wealth and financially emancipating myself and my family from poverty. I want my brokerage account to be in the millions. I want my retirement accounts to be in the millions. I want my real estate portfolio to be in the millions. I want my business on the side, Financipation, to be something I can give my kids. That's my system. That's what I want to do. And it's not about making the money. I want the freedom to be able to get up when I want to get up. I want the freedom to be able to go where I want to go. I want the freedom to be able to fly my kids all around the world, my beautiful wife, all around the world. That's the system I'm trying to set in place. And for what it's worth, I also want to basically hear, well done, thou good and faithful servant, when I get to heaven. So that's the system that I set in place for myself. Everybody else's system is it's your own system. It's what you want to do for yourself. But that's the system that I'm setting in place for myself. Okay. All right, everybody, it's getting a little long here. If y'all got any more questions for me, by all means, ask away, fire away. Not I'll bounce. How you eliminate distraction while working and when working in your business. Put yourself in an environment where there are no distractions. So my studio essentially is away from my family. It's away from all distractions. I don't have a TV in my studio. I don't have any of that stuff. It's literally an environment where I can focus on my business. I can focus on myself. I can focus on corporate America. For what it's worth, I also have my weights down here. I have my heavy bag down here. I can kickbox and all that stuff. So I have myself in an environment where I'm separated away from the distractions, because when I come here, and I'm in this cocoon, I can do my own thing. On top of that, too, another way to separate yourself from your distractions as well, driving in the car. If you're a content creator, the best time, some of the best content I've ever created, I literally created while driving down I was driving down Biscayne Bay, or I was driving down 495 out in California. I was driving up I-95 from Florida to Philly. So your how do you separate yourself from distractions? When you are alone or you're in the solitude, that's sometimes when the best creative juices start to flow. Yep. Another thing too about it, be consistent with it as well, because when you consistently are putting out content, when you're consistently focusing on your grind, whether you have a 2 hour block every other day or a 2 hour block one time a week, focus on that. When you're there, take this thing right here and put it down, turn it off, and don't worry about it. Say, okay, I'm creating this, I'm doing this, I'm working my business right now. That's how you limit your distractions. Go somewhere where you're not going to be bothered. Okay. Any other questions? By the way, the God, thank you for firing these things. Well, hopefully helping you create your own system, bro, and hopefully helping you basically prioritize what's important in your life, what's beautiful in your life, and it helps you improve your life. Okay, that's the plan. I'm glad that hopefully the stuff that I'm telling you is helping. So yeah. Anything else, anybody? Well, once, going twice. All right, cool. Once again, everybody, it's your boy Chris. This channel is all about making money. It's all about saving money. It's all about building generational wealth. It's all about how do I narrow focus in a career path. The way that I did it was I was always good at math, and I knew for a fact that if you got a degree in science and technology and engineering and math and healthcare or in law or finance, you would always have a job. So I got a mechanical engineering degree, and then I got an MBA in finance. So that I was very strategic. I said, okay, I'm good at numbers. I like math, and I like making a lot of money. So engineering and finance is what pretty much got me. I'm thinking about law, finance, and wellness. Exactly. Yeah, and that's perfect. The thing about law is that we live in a very litigious society. You'll always have a job if you get a lawyer. If you become a lawyer, you pass the bar. Finance, I don't care what country you live in or wherever. Everybody wants somebody that knows how to be financially literate. And the beautiful thing about finance is that you don't even necessarily have to have a degree right now to make a lot of money in finance. There are certifications you can get. There are different associate degrees you can get and things like that will put you on the same level as somebody who has a master's degree from a very prestigious university, but they don't know anything. So because of YouTube and ChatGPT, there's so much finance things you can learn. And wellness, yeah, I was a personal trainer. I still technically have some of my certifications, and you'll always find somebody that's willing to lose weight and to get healthy, whether it's men or it's women. If you're serious about any of those three industries, the God, you're gonna make a lot of money. And on top of that, if it's your passion, it's very easy to have a business on the side teaching finance, teaching being a lawyer, and or being a personal trainer. Phenomenal careers to go into and phenomenal side hustles to start as well. Yep. Any other questions? Keep it coming. Keep it coming. All right. Cool. 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 Everybody, thank you for super chat. I appreciate it. Once again, $ Chris P485, $Chris P485, and thanks everybody for watching, for logging in for my live session tonight. Once again, I drop my content every Sunday at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. This channel is all about making money. It's all about saving money. It's all about building generational wealth. It's all about financially emancipating yourself from generational poverty. It's your boy Chris. Also, please check some of my e-products as well. I got my scholarship book. My Spotify is Financipation. My TikTok page is the Financipation. My YouTube tribe is called Financipation. And definitely, obviously, everybody check out the content and please like, comment, share, subscribe to the channel. And if you want to go a little deeper into some stuff, I do host my financial one-on-ones for a fee. I will essentially teach you how to become a millionaire. And the thing about America is it's not really all that challenging, okay? It does take time, but it's a very simple but effective process to follow. All right, everybody, it's your boy Chris. I got any other questions for me? Because if not, I'm about to bounce. All right. All right. Take it easy, everybody. Peace. Peace.